Hello, all you naughty people out there. How are you doing today? Well, truth is, I've got some food in the air fryer in there. I'm not going to bring you guys any coal in your stockings. Don't worry about that. I wanted to make a point. I was going to make a longer video. I intended to come out here and make a video, and I just never got around to it. But I needed to share this before I forget it, and before, I should say, it just becomes something that it's not worth sharing. Sometimes we just have an epiphany, and the epiphany I had was when I was listening to a discussion about, it was an artist coalition back in the 70s, and I believe it was run by a couple people that were major members of it. I haven't looked into the details, but it doesn't matter. It was Brian Eno and Pete Schmidt. Pete Schmidt is a painter. Brian Eno is, well, he's Brian Eno. It's a weird story. Considers himself a non-musician, but he's been responsible for a lot of elevator music, synth and background stuff. All of that's irrelevant. Just remember this. Back in the 60s and 70s, there was an artist culture kind of surrounding psychedelics, as well as not necessarily taking psychedelics all the time or anything, but the psychedelic art and the revelations that came out of that era. And they started a artist group, and they had this group. It was kind of like from what I understand, like a bunch of note cards. And these note cards had little inspirational quotes on there to help artists when they were feeling lost. For example, one said, every mistake is, a blessing in disguise, right? Things like that. Or like, a whole variety of inspirational quotes to kind of keep you on track. If you're an artist, you know what I'm talking about. You get artist block and you kind of lose your groove. But there was one that resonated with me, and I have to share it. The card said, gardening, not architecture. And the meaning of that was that it's more important that we plant a seed and nourish that seed and grow it as an artist than to try to plan something like a building. I'm trying to put it in the most rudimentary terms because it's so important to me. Something I've always known, but it was a great way to put it. Gardening, not architecture. Whenever you have an idea, an inspiration, you want to write a book, I know a lot of people organize everything structurally, like even writing a book, for example. People will set it up beginning to end and expect it to follow a certain plot. People who write music, they say this is the verse and this is the chorus and this is how it works. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it, right? So the idea of the gardening approach is to just let shit happen. And I've played in a band with my brother for a while, and we were kind of a jam band, and we would explore different jams in songs that were usually like 3 or 4 minutes, turn them into like 15 minutes and have a great time, and then know when to come back in because we could read each other. But it was slowly growing a jam, right? Just like when you're writing a song in general, you don't have to write it all at once or know exactly how it goes. You don't have to plan out your vacation to every last detail. All of these are relevant points, when we're talking about this. But some gardens bloom fast and some bloom slow. This was the part that I kind of added on in my own mind. I said, okay, yeah, planting a garden, letting it grow however it does. That's great. But there are many different plants, many different types of seeds to grow. There are think about the slow blooming plants, the ones that may take a long time to nurture or a long time to recognize their value. Compare that to a lot of the bands in the 60s, 70s, and 80s who weren't even recognized until so much later, like even within the last decade. Say, wow, it was so underappreciated. The term that people usually use is ahead of its time. But others bloom fast, like a lot of the 15 Minute of Fame type of people, the Jordan Petersons of the world. No offense to him, because it was just a topic that I was adding into my next video about Joe Rogan and how basically don't simp for dudes was my next video. It's about not simping to people, dudes that are like, oh, this guy's great, he's got everything. People do it for presidents. People do it for various politicians, musicians, artists. They just like drool over other human beings as if they have the answer to things. And something I've realized is complete nonsense. And also the reason why people hate Joe Rogan, because he doesn't pretend. He just says what he says, right? And so anyhow, that'll be in the next video. For now, I'm just going to stick to my topic about gardening, not architecture. And I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. I'm going to go get my chicken, my orange chicken now out of the air fryer. And I'll see you later. Peace.